Dear VW owner, congratulations! You are now the owner of a Volkswagen. A lot has gone into the manufacture of your car, including advanced engineering techniques, rigid quality controls, and thorough inspections. The engineering and safety features that have gone into your VW will be enhanced by you. You, the safe driver. One who knows his vehicle and all of the controls. One who maintains his vehicle properly. One who uses his driving skills wisely. Because safe driving is important to you, we suggest that you read this manual carefully, maintain your VW properly, and get into the habit of following the checklist shown below each time you use your VW. Before getting behind the wheel, make sure the tires are inflated properly. Watch the tread depth indicator on tires. Look for bruises and wear. See that all windows are clean and unobstructed. Check that headlight and taillight lenses are clean. Check that all lights are functioning properly. Check turn signal lamps and indicator light with the ignition on. In the driver's seat, position the seat properly for easy reach of controls. Adjust inside and outside mirrors for unobstructed rear view. Fasten seat belts. Check brake warning light. Check brake operation. Make sure that all doors are properly closed and locked. And when you are on the highway, always drive defensively. Expect the unexpected. Use signals to indicate turns and lane changes. Turn on headlights at dusk. Follow at a safe distance. A good rule of thumb is to allow a minimum of 1 car length for each 10 mile an hour of speed. Reduce speed during night hours and inclement weather. Observe speed limits and obey highway signs. When tired, get off the highway, stop and take a rest. Use emergency lights when stalled or stopped for repairs. Pull handbrake lever when vehicle is stopped or parked. Do not invite car theft. An unlocked car with the key in ignition offers both opportunity and temptation. Therefore, a steering wheel lock and a buzzer alarm are standard equipment in your 1970 Volkswagen. The buzzer will sound if you leave the driver's door while the key is in the steering ignition lock. It is your reminder to take the key and lock the doors. In accordance with the federal safety regulations, the chassis number of your car is also located on the left of the instrument panel and can be seen from the outside. This precaution is taken for your protection, to aid in the apprehension of thieves and the recovery of stolen vehicles. This sticker assures you that your 1970 Volkswagen complies with all federal motor vehicle safety standards, which were in effect at the time the vehicle was produced. Get to know your new car quickly so you can start off on your first trip with complete confidence. The first part of this booklet deals with the operation of your Volkswagen. We urge you to read it carefully. The second part tells you everything about winter driving and care of the car. It also contains some useful do-it-yourself tips, plus some information on the proper fuel and oil, lubrication, and technical data. When you have studied this manual, you will know how to operate your car properly. Then, you can expect many years of reliable and economical service from your car. This brings us to the Volkswagen Maintenance Record, which you also receive with the car. The record explains what VW diagnosis and maintenance is all about, and tells you how to keep your VW in top driving condition. Always have the Volkswagen Maintenance Record with you when you take the vehicle to an authorized VW dealer for service. It helps establish proper contact with the service department staff. In your own interests, have your Volkswagen serviced as indicated in the Volkswagen Maintenance Record right from the start. Proper treatment plus complete proof of all maintenance work carried out can be of vital importance should you have occasion to make a claim under warranty. Identification plate, chassis number, and engine number. The identification plate is located in the driver's cabin behind the passenger seat. The 10th digit number, after the words Fargis number, is the chassis number. It describes the model number, model year, and serial number of the vehicle as shown in this sample. The chassis number is also stamped on the right-hand engine cover plate and on the instrument panel so that the number is visible from the outside of the car. The engine number is on the generator support flange. Key. Only one key is required to unlock and lock the doors and to start the engine. Be sure the key number is recorded in the front of the VW maintenance record. If you should lose a key, you can obtain a replacement from your authorized Volkswagen dealer. Doors. All the doors of your Volkswagen can be unlocked and locked from the outside. The front doors of the station wagon are equipped with vent windows. 1. The vent wing fastener. To open the vent wing, turn the knob of the vent wing fastener until locking catch points in driving direction, and push knob of vent wing fastener forward. 2. Window crank. 3. Door closing grip. 4. Inside door handle with locking lever. The doors cannot be opened from the inside or the outside unless the locking levers are pulled out. When leaving the vehicle, just push in the locking lever and pull the trigger in the outer handle as you close the door. The vehicle is then locked. If the door closes by itself after the locking lever has been pushed in, it will not lock because the locking lever will spring out automatically. This is an additional safety measure to prevent you from being locked out if the door is accidentally slammed shut while the key is still inside the vehicle. 5. Armrest on fresh air ventilation duct. Only station wagons have this equipment. The sliding door opens smoothly when the door handle is pressed downward. When fully open, it is held in position by a hook. To close, press the door handle down, which releases the hook, and push the door forward until it latches. Then pull the handle up firmly until the sliding door is flush with the rear panel. Make sure the sliding door is fully closed while the vehicle is moving. To open the door from the inside, push inner handle forward A. To close the door, pull the handle backward B. The door can be locked either from the outside with the key or from the inside by pushing the small lever to position C. On the delivery van, instead of the locking lever, a small sliding button has been moved to the right. On the delivery van with full width cab partition, open the door by pulling the handle rearward, D. You can then get out if the sliding door closes accidentally while you are in the load compartment. In the combi and the delivery van, red lines on the load compartment floor mark the limit to which cargo can be loaded without obstructing the operation of the sliding door. The rear door for the luggage compartment of the vehicle is opened by depressing a push button on the lower part of the door. After pulling the door up, it is held open by springs. To close the door, swing it firmly. Make sure that it is properly closed. Seats. Driver's cabin. The seat position and backrest angle of the driver's seat in your vehicle can be altered to suit your requirements. This is quite simple to do. Just lift the lever F on the front left-hand side of the seat frame and slide the seat forward or backward. After adjusting, release the lever and move the seat slightly until it is securely locked into position. The backrest is secured and cannot tilt forward accidentally. It can be adjusted by turning the wheel G. The front passenger seat and backrest can be adjusted to two positions. First, the seat is lifted up in the front until the backrest becomes detached from the mounting H on the partition of the driver's compartment. The seat can then be lifted easily and moved to fit to the other adjustment notch. Make sure that the backrest is secured on the mounting of the partition after adjusting. Passenger compartment. The backrest of the front seat can be tilted forward to facilitate entry and exit of rear seat passengers. The catches can be released by pulling up the knob on the side of the backrest. All seats can be removed for transporting bulky goods. To do this, remove the side trimming for the front and rear seat frames, unscrew the nuts, and take off the mounting supports. Take out the seats and the mounting plates and remove the bolts by turning them 90 degrees. Seat belts. Your Volkswagen is equipped with a seat belt for each seat. Occupants of the vehicle should wear the belts at all times. Shoulder belts should not be worn by persons less than approximately 55 inches in height. The front seats. Each of the outer front seats is equipped with a combination lap and shoulder belt. In models with a 3-passenger front seat, and the middle seat is equipped with a lap belt, which is described on the next page. Each belt is completely adjustable to fit different sized persons and to allow for seat and backrest adjustment. When not in use, the lap section of the lap shoulder belt retracts, and the belt should be hung on the hook on the door post by means of the hole in the buckle tongue. This prevents the belt from lying about and getting dirty and keeps the belts handy. Operation. After sitting down and adjusting the seat and backrest positions, pull the belt buckle across in front of you to the center of the car. With the 3-passenger front seat, the inboard belt and buckle lie on the seat cushion. With the 2-passenger seat, the inboard buckle is attached to the inboard side of the seat. In either case, insert the buckle tongue into the recess in the other buckle and press lightly together. A click will be heard when the buckles interlock. Be sure the belt is not twisted. Pull lap belt through buckle until belt is completely unrolled from retractor and fits snugly across lap. Take up any slack of the loose belt end by moving slide. Adjust shoulder belt by pulling belt until it fits snugly across chest. Take up any slack by moving slide. To lengthen either section of the belt, release buckles, hold buckle at a right angle to belt, and pull belt through buckle. To release the belt, pull the unlocking lever on the inboard buckle. Only a light pull on the belt and a small movement of the lever is necessary. The center and rear seats. Each center and rear seat is equipped with an adjustable lap belt. Operation. After sitting down and making yourself comfortable, pull the longer section of the belt across in front of you until the buckle meets. Insert the tongue of the outboard buckle into the recess in the inboard buckle and press lightly together. A click will be heard when the buckles interlock. Be sure the belt is not twisted. Pull belt through the buckle until belt fits snugly across the pelvic area. Take up any slack by moving the slide. To lengthen the belt, release the buckle, hold buckle on longer section at a right angle to the belt, and pull belt through buckle. To release the belt, pull the unlocking lever on the inboard knuckle. Only a light pull on the belt and a small movement of the lever is necessary. Each of the outer seats is also equipped with a third mounting point to facilitate subsequent installation of combination lap shoulder belts. Do not strap in more than one person with each belt. Keep belts clean. Wash belts with mild detergent without removing from vehicle. Dry belts in shade and do not allow lap belts to retract until completely dry. Do not bleach or dye the belts or use any other material to clean the belts because some of these agents can weaken the webbing. Check buckles, retractors, and fittings periodically to make sure they function correctly and check belts to ensure that the webbing has not been damaged. Instrument panel, hand, and foot controls. Instrument panel, hand, and foot controls. Even if this is not your first Volkswagen, just have a quick look at the dash and try out the various knobs and levers with the ignition switched on. 1. Fuel gauge and warning lights. 2. Speedometer, odometer with 1/10 of a mile indicator. 3. Warning light for dual brake system. 4. Push-pull knob for interior light at rear. 5. Light switch. 6. Knob for windshield wiper and washer. 7. Emergency flasher switch. 8. Switch for rear window defogger. 9. Turn signal and dimmer switch lever. 10. Horn button. 11. Steering, ignition lock. 12. Handbrake. 13. Ashtray. 14. Plate over radio aperture. 15. Glove compartment. 16. Fresh air control levers. 16A. Outlets. 16B. Discharge vents. 17. Heating control levers. 17A. Lever for warm air distribution. 17B. Defroster vents. 17C. Warm air outlets for front legroom. 18. Brake fluid reservoir. 19. Container for windshield wiper fluid. 20. Clutch pedal. 21. Brake pedal. 22. Accelerator pedal. 23. Gear shift lever. 1. Fuel gauge. When the needle is on the R mark, there is about 1 gallon of fuel left in the tank. Time to refuel at the next opportunity. In addition, the fuel gauge contains the following lights. A. Red, oil pressure. B. Red, generator. C. Blue, high beams. D. Light green arrows, turn signals. E. Dark green, parking lights. 4. Push-pull knob for interior light at rear. When the knob is pulled out, the light in the passenger or load compartment can be switched on and off with the switch built into the lamp. Instrument panel, hand, and foot controls. Instrument panel, hand, and foot controls. Even if this is not your first Volkswagen, just have a quick look at the dash and try out the various knobs and levers with the ignition switched on. 1. Fuel gauge and warning lights. 2. Speedometer, odometer with 1/10 of a mile indicator. 3. Warning light for dual brake system. 4. Push-pull knob for interior light at rear. 5. Light switch. 6. Knob for windshield wiper and washer. 7. Emergency flasher switch. 8. Switch for rear window defogger. 9. Turn signal and dimmer switch lever. 10. Horn button. 11. Steering, ignition lock. 12. Handbrake. 13. Ashtray. 14. Plate over radio aperture. 15. Glove compartment. 16. Fresh air control levers. 16A. Outlets. 16B. Discharge vents. 17. Heating control levers. 17A. Lever for warm air distribution. 17B. Defroster vents. 17C. Warm air outlets for front legroom. 18. Brake fluid reservoir. 19. Container for windshield wiper fluid. 20. Clutch pedal. 21. Brake pedal. 22. Accelerator pedal. 23. Gear shift lever. 1. Fuel gauge. When the needle is on the R mark, there is about 1 gallon of fuel left in the tank. Time to refuel at the next opportunity. In addition, the fuel gauge contains the following lights. A. Red, oil pressure. B. Red, generator. C. Blue, high beams. D. Light green arrows, turn signals. E. Dark green, parking lights. 4. Push-pull knob for interior light at rear. When the knob is pulled out, the light in the passenger or load compartment can be switched on and off with the switch built into the lamp. Light switch. Pull the knob to the first stop to switch on parking brake, license plate, tail, and instrument lights. A green warning lamp lights up in the fuel gauge dial. Pulling the knob all the way switches the headlights on and turns off the green warning lamp for the parking lights. The parking lights remain lit when headlights are used, serving as position lights. The brightness of the instrument lights can be adjusted by turning the light switch knob. 6. Windshield wipers and washer. The 2-speed wipers are controlled by turning the wiper switch knob. The blades park automatically when turned off. Push button in the knob to spray fluid on the windshield. Fluid will spray as long as the button is held in. 7. Emergency flasher switch. If the vehicle is disabled or parked under emergency situations, pull the switch to make all 4 turn signals flash at once. A warning light in the switch knob flashes when the system is turned on. 8. Switch for rear window defogger. With the ignition switched on, the rear window defogger is activated by pulling out the knob. A green control lamp inside the knob will then light up. After the rear window has been cleared, switch off the rear window defogger to avoid an unnecessary drain on the battery. 9. Turn signal and dimmer switch lever. Lever forward, right turn signal. Lever rearward, left turn signal. The turn signals are canceled automatically upon the completion of a turn. Pull the lever toward steering wheel to raise or lower headlight beams. A blue warning light in the fuel gauge dial shows when high beam is switched on. 11. Steering and ignition lock. 1. Ignition off, steering locked, key can be removed. 2. Ignition off, steering free. 3. Ignition on. 4. Starting. Important note: remove key from lock only when vehicle is stationary. Important: remove key from lock only when vehicle is stationary. If key is left in steering ignition lock at position 1, a buzzer will sound when the driver's door is opened. Hint: should it be difficult to turn the key after inserting, gently move the steering wheel from side to side until key turns freely. 12. Handbrake. To set the handbrake, just pull the handle straight out. To release it, turn clockwise and push handle in. 13. Ashtray. Remove ashtray by depressing leaf spring and pulling ashtray out. 18. Brake fluid reservoir. The brake fluid level should be at 3/4 of an inch below filler neck. If the level ever falls considerably below this point, the brake system should be thoroughly examined by your VW dealer. Brake fluid is water absorbent and should, therefore, be renewed every 2 years. 19. Container for windshield washer fluid. To refill windshield washer container, first remove the cover and then the cap. The container can be filled with water until it overflows. There is always room for sufficient air to operate the washer. The correct air pressure is 42. The container can be filled with water until it overflows. There is always room for sufficient air to operate the washer. The correct air pressure is 42 psi. It is advisable to add a cleaning solution to the water, such as Volkswagen's windshield washer antifreeze and solvent, as clear water is usually not adequate for cleaning the windshield quickly and properly. Follow the direction on the container for the amount to be used. After filling washer container, ensure that filler cap is screwed on tightly. 23. Gear shift lever. To engage reverse gear, press the shift lever down, move it to the left, and pull back to the stop. With the ignition switched on, the backup lights will come on. Do not shift into reverse gear while the vehicle is moving. Sliding roof, optional equipment. For safety reasons, the sliding roof crank should always be in the recess. After closing the roof, turn the crank as far as it will go, then turn back slightly until it can be folded into the recess. Interior trim. 1. Sun visors. You can pull the driver's visor out of the center mounting and swing it toward the door window to prevent glare from the side. In the station wagon, a mirror is attached to the right-hand sun visor. 2. Cab light. Switch positions. Front, light on only when doors are open. Center, light off. Rear, light on. In the pickup, up is light on only when doors are open, and down is light on. 3. Rear view mirrors. Outside and inside mirrors are adjustable so they can be set to give clear vision to the rear at all times. The outside mirrors are hinged to fold flat upon contact. The inside rear mirror is rimmed with plastic for safety and designed to detach upon impact. It is equipped with anti-glare provision and can be adjusted at the lower portion of the mirror. On some commercial models, the inside mirror is not standard equipment. Ashtray. The ashtrays in the passenger compartment can be removed by lifting them out at the lower portion of the retaining frame. For reinstallation, insert ashtray first at the top where the leaf spring is located, then push it into retaining frame. Page 19. You can get Volkswagen service only at an authorized VW dealership, and that means just about everywhere. Wherever you and your VW go, there is a Volkswagen dealer close by. You'll find VW dealers in every state of the United States, every province of Canada, and all of the main cities of Central America, plus more than 130 countries all over the world. For your convenience, we can provide you with a booklet containing the names and addresses of all authorized VW distributors and dealers throughout North and Central America, just to make sure your VW is never far from home. Ventilation and heating. 1. Fresh air control levers. The left and right fresh air ventilation can be turned on and adjusted individually with the two blue operating levers in the dashboard. Levers up, ventilation closed. Levers down, ventilation open. Fresh air enters the two outlets, 1A, on the lower edge of the windshield, and through the discharge vents, 1B, on the right and left sides of the dashboard. By turning the discharge vents, the airflow can be pointed in any desired direction. Each discharge vent incorporates a flap to adjust the air volume entering the vehicle. The station wagon has, as standard equipment, two additional adjustable discharge vents, 1C, located at the partition between the driver and passenger compartments. 2. Heating control levers. Heating for the left and right side of the vehicle can be turned on and adjusted individually by means of two red levers on the dashboard. levers up, heating off, levers down, heating on. The distribution of warm air in the vehicle interior can be controlled as follows. The lever 2A on the front panel regulates the warm air distribution in the driver's compartment. If the lever is pulled down, warm air is discharged from the defroster vents. 2B. If the lever is pulled down, warm air is discharged from the defroster vents. 2B, located at the lower edge of the windshield. If the lever is pushed up, warm air will enter the legroom from both lower outlets. 2C. Additional warm air outlets are in the passenger compartment. Warm air from outlet 2D in front of the middle seat is regulated by pulling knob 2E under the driver's seat. The station wagon has 2 outlets 2F under the rear bench seat. If the levers at the vents are moved forward, the warm air flaps are opened. At low outside temperatures, it is suggested to keep the warm air flaps in the passenger compartment closed. By pulling adjusting lever 2A down, the total volume of air is first distributed to the defroster vents, keeping the windshield clear. Later on, all remaining outlets can be opened to warm up the vehicle interior as quickly as possible. Page 22. Spare wheel, jack and tools. The spare wheel is mounted on most models in the rear luggage compartment. On some models, it is located underneath the seats in the driver's cabin. Make sure that the spare tire pressure is always a bit higher than 40 psi, which is the maximum operating pressure. It is easier to release some air when the wheel is fitted than to add air. The jack is mounted under the right front seat with a clamping device. Wind jack until the end of the folded insert piece is in line with the groove on the jack. See arrow. When storing it after use. How to operate jack is described on page 35. Tools and accessories. The toolkit is also kept under the right front seat. It contains one V-belt of size 9.1 or 9.5 times 900, one hubcap remover, one pair of combination pliers, one screwdriver with reversible blade for slotted and Phillips screws, one open-ended wrench 8mm and 13mm, one double-end socket wrench for spark plugs, fan pulley nut, wheel bolts, and jack, one long bar for socket wrench and jack, one socket wrench 13mm. Page 23. What to check. Before moving off, check the fuel, the brakes, the lights, and, at regular intervals, the oil level in the engine and the tire inflation pressures. The fuel in a full tank is sufficient for about 300 miles. The filler neck is located behind a flap above the right rear wheel well. The brakes should be checked by applying the brake pedal just before moving off. The brakes should be checked by applying the brake pedal just after moving off. Your Volkswagen is equipped with a dual brake system. Both systems, front and rear, can function independently. An indicator lamp on the instrument panel monitors the brake systems. Should the indicator lamp light up while applying the brakes, see your authorized Volkswagen dealer as soon as possible because one of the 2 brake systems may have failed. The brakes will still operate, however, a longer distance is required to bring the vehicle to a halt. Push indicator lamp after switching the ignition on. If the lamp does not light up, the bulb should be replaced. Please bear in mind that brakes are subject to wear. An increase in pedal travel will indicate this wear. Depending on individual operating conditions, the brake may have to be adjusted between specified maintenance intervals. Page 24. The oil level should be between the 2 marks on the dipstick and must never be below the lower mark. Wipe dipstick clean before checking. The vehicle must be on a level surface when the oil level is checked so the dipstick reading will be accurate. Do not check the oil immediately after stopping the engine. Wait at least 5 minutes to give the oil in the engine time to drain down to the bottom of the crankcase. To top up the oil, a well-known brand should be selected. Although it is advisable to stick to one brand of oil, using a different brand to replenish the oil will not harm the engine. Details about the proper oil viscosities are given on page 46. The lights include headlights, backup lights, tail lights, license plate light, turn signals, and brake lights. The turn signals, brake lights, and backup lights must be checked with the ignition on. If a turn signal is defective, the warning lights in the fuel gauge dial much faster than usual or go out. The brake lights only work when the brake pedal is depressed, and the backup lights when reverse gear is engaged. The correct tire pressure is most important in the interest of safety. Too low as well as too high a tire pressure reduces the life expectancy of the tires and, furthermore, adversely affects the road holding of the vehicle. Although the tubeless tires of your car will hold the inflated tire pressure for a long time, you should check the pressure before you start out on a long trip or at least once a week. The specified tire pressure can be found in the table on page 56 and also on the label at the cab partition behind the driver's seat. Two more important points. If the vehicle is used under very dusty conditions, the oil bath air cleaner must be checked frequently, even daily if necessary. How this is done is described on page 52. Do not drive your car with a disconnected battery. On the other hand, both terminals must be taken off before quick charging a battery in the vehicle. Failure to do this can lead to damage of the electronic components of the electrical equipment. All right, page 25. Is this the... Yeah, this is the last one for this segment. Starting the engine. Before turning the ignition key, make sure the gear shift lever is in neutral. At temperatures above freezing or when the engine is still warm, depress the accelerator pedal slowly while operating the starter. When the engine is very warm, depress pedal fully, but do not pump it. At temperatures below freezing, or when engine is cold, depress the accelerator pedal once fully and then release it slowly so that the automatic choke can work. Switch ignition on and start immediately. When the weather is very cold, the engine may turn over slowly when starting. In this case, depress the clutch when cranking. If it turns over faster, hold the clutch down until the engine starts. When starting without depressing the clutch, be sure the handbrake is on and gear shift is in neutral. As soon as the engine starts, release the ignition key so the starter may be switched off. As soon as the engine starts, release the ignition key so that the starter is switched off. Do not try to warm the vehicle up by letting it idle while the vehicle is stationary. Drive off immediately. Do not race the engine while it is cold. If the engine does not start the first time or stalls at any time, the ignition will have to be switched off and then on again. The non-repeat lock in the switch prevents the starter from being operated while the engine is running and thus from being damaged. The warning lights in the fuel gauge will come on when the ignition is switched on. As soon as the engine starts, these lights will go out. Stop at once if one of these lights comes on while driving. Red warning light for generator or cooling. Check the belt that drives the generator. If this belt breaks, the engine cooling fan also stops working. The proper way to fit a new belt is described in page 36. If the generator stops charging for any other reason, you can drive on, but try to get the vehicle to an authorized Volkswagen dealer as soon as possible because the battery will soon run down. Red warning light for oil pressure. If this warning light comes on when driving, the flow of lubricating oil in the engine may be interrupted. Check the oil level first. Should the cause of trouble be elsewhere, contact your nearest authorized Volkswagen dealer. Be careful when running the engine in enclosed areas. Ensure that there is ample ventilation so that the poisonous exhaust gases can escape. Driving hints. You can drive your Volkswagen at full speed from the first day. There are, however, certain permissible speed ranges for the various gears. First gear, 0 to 15 miles an hour. Second gear, 10 to 25. Third gear, 15 to 45. Fourth gear, 30 to 65 miles an hour. When a particular traffic situation makes it essential to move rapidly, you can accelerate up to 30 miles an hour in second gear and up to 50 miles an hour in third gear for brief periods. Bear in mind, however, that full throttle acceleration raises fuel consumption considerably. It is more economical to drive smoothly and to keep the top speed fairly constant. Very fast, racy, sporty driving, alternating between full throttle and hard braking, will mean more frequent visits to a gas station and increased tire and brake lining wear. You can drive very economically between 10 and 20 miles an hour in second gear, 15 and 30 miles an hour in third gear, 30 and 45 miles an hour in fourth gear. Just a few words about the clutch while we're on the subject about driving. The clutch is a very hard-worked part of the vehicle. A good driver slips the clutch as little as possible when moving off and changing gears. He always depresses the clutch fully when changing gears. Changes down into the appropriate gear in city traffic instead of slipping the clutch, and never uses the clutch pedal as a rest for his left foot. Volkswagen automobiles have excellent brakes, but do not forget that the braking distance increases very rapidly as the speed increases. At 60 miles an hour, for example, it is 4 times longer than at 30 miles an hour. Apply the brakes in good time whenever possible, but do not use too much force. Locked wheels increase braking distance. Remember that water reduces the tire traction and increases the braking distance. Drive carefully and remain at a safe distance behind the preceding vehicle, particularly when roads are wet and slippery. Always set the handbrake after parking your car. On steep hills, turn the front wheels towards the curb. That just about covers the operation of the car and how to drive it properly. The following pages deal with tips for winter driving, breakdowns, and all there is worth knowing about the vehicle. Page 27. Authorized Volkswagen dealers use a new service system specially developed for the VW. Lots of service stations say they can repair Volkswagens, and a lot of them really can. But they cannot offer you VW diagnosis and maintenance, our new service system. Instead of giving every VW the same basic maintenance, we now treat each one as an individual. This means your VW is thoroughly checked by a specially trained diagnostician using special testing equipment. And that means your car can get just the maintenance it needs, no more, no less. And you get a test report, so you know the exact condition of your VW. It is something you should know about the car you drive. Winter operation. Your Volkswagen has 2 features which you will appreciate in the winter: air cooling and heating. You can leave your car out in the bitter cold without fear. The air-cooled engine will always start readily and supply warm air for the interior of the body. Tires. Tires with badly worn treads are very dangerous, particularly in the winter. Make sure they are replaced in time. Winter tires do not fulfill their purpose if the tread depth is less than 5/32 of an inch or 4 mm. Winter tires with special heavy treads give good traction in snow and slush. Better still are winter tires with studs, which increase the safety margin even on hard snow and ice. Winter tires should always be fitted on all 4 wheels. Check your state laws before using studded tires. Winter tires with studs should be run at moderate speeds when new in order to give studs time to settle. In general, winter tires only have advantages when conditions on the road are really wintry. For safety reasons, it is not advisable to drive a vehicle fitted with any type of winter tire at top speed. You cannot expect a winter tire to have the same degree of traction on dry, wet, or snow-free roads as a normal tire. Furthermore, winter tires wear rapidly under these conditions, particularly at high speeds. If winter tires are mounted, they should have the same load capacity as tires of the original equipment. Snow chains. Only thin chains, which do not protrude from the tire tread and inner sidewall more than ½ an inch including tensioner, are suitable. While winter tires should be used on all 4 wheels, chains are required on the rear wheels only. When driving over long stretches of road which are free of snow, the chains should be removed because they serve no useful purpose and merely damage the tires and wear out quickly. Engine oil. Engine oil of SAE 30 grade will tend to thicken at temperatures around freezing and may cause difficult starting. As soon as winter temperatures are expected, change to a thinner grade of engine oil. Details of the various oils to be used are given on page 46. If you drive mostly short distances and in city traffic, especially in the winter, we recommend that you have the engine oil changed at shorter intervals, say every 1500 miles. At other times, these additional changes are unnecessary and uneconomical. In areas with Arctic climate and temperatures below -13 degrees Fahrenheit, the engine oil should be changed every 750 miles. Transmission oil. Transmission oil of SAE 90 grade can generally be used all year round. Only in areas with cold climate is it necessary to use the thinner SAE 80 transmission oil. In areas with Arctic climate and temperatures below -13 degrees, automatic transmission fluid can be filled into the transmission and final drive. As soon as the temperature rises, this fluid must be replaced with SAE 80 or SAE 90 transmission oil. The battery not only tends to drop in capacity as the temperature drops, it also has to work much harder in cold weather. Apart from the high current consumption when starting and using the lights more often, there are numerous other electrical items used mainly in winter, such as rear window defogger and auxiliary heater. A really cold battery, which may not be fully charged, has only a fraction of the capacity that a battery at normal temperature does, and this might not be enough to start a cold engine. If a car is only driven short distances and in city traffic, the battery may have to be charged from an external source from time to time. For more details, see page 42. The spark plugs should not have excessively large gaps, especially in winter. The gap is normally 28 thousandths of an inch, but when the weather is very cold, the gap can be temporarily reduced to 2/100ths of an inch to facilitate starting. Door locks can freeze in winter if water gets into the lock. When washing the vehicle, do not aim the water jet directly at the locks. It is a good idea to cover the keyholes beforehand. A frozen lock can be opened by heating the key before inserting it. An antifreeze solution or glycerin should be then squirted into the lock cylinder as soon as possible. It is a good idea to carry a shovel or a short-handed spade in the car to clear away snow if you get stuck. A small hand brush for sweeping snow off of the vehicle and a plastic scraper for the windshield are also useful. We have provided your vehicle with enamel which is not only extremely durable and has a very high gloss, but which also has a long service life. This has been achieved by a special chemical treatment of the body metal and the use of a synthetic resin enamel paint technique. But even the finest paint requires a certain amount of care. This is easy to appreciate if you consider for a moment the influences to which paint is exposed. Sunlight, rain, industrial fumes, soot, dirt, and dust are constantly attacking the paintwork. In the winter, all parts of the vehicle are subjected to even more severe climatic conditions and corrosive salt solutions. It is advisable to clean and wax the vehicle more often at this time of year. The items listed below will help you preserve the built-in beauty of your Volkswagen. Compounded, especially for use on your VW, they are available at your local Authorized VW dealership. Detailed instructions on how to use the various products are imprinted on individual containers. Washing. In the first 2 months, wash the vehicle frequently with clear water, but do not wash it in direct sunshine. Rinse sponge often to avoid scratching the paintwork. Later on, wash the vehicle whenever it is dirty. If the dirt cannot be removed with clear water, all-purpose cleaner or a suitable shampoo can be added to the water. Afterward, rinse all traces of the cleaner off with clear water and then wipe the vehicle dry to avoid water spots. Wax. Wax for the first time after 8 to 10 weeks. The paint should be re-waxed when water remains in large patches of water and does not form beads and roll off. Polishing should only be done if paint has lost shine and gloss cannot be brought back with wax. After treatment with polish, the vehicle must be waxed. If paint is not cleaned with combination car cleaner and wax, it need not be waxed afterwards. Paint touch-up. Minor paint damages, such as scratches, stone chips, and the like, can easily be touched up with the paint stick available at your authorized VW dealer. In the driver's cab, on the rear panel, you will find a sticker showing a number. This is the code number for the paint color of the vehicle. Removing tar spots. Treat paint surfaces with a tar remover as soon as possible. After treatment, rinse off traces of the remover with soap powder solution, water, and shampoo. Removing insects. Dried on insects can be cleaned off paint with an insect remover. Wash surfaces afterwards. Parking under trees. Vehicles which are parked under certain trees during summer are often found to be covered in sticky spots. These spots can be taken off easily with a shampoo if the treatment is not delayed too long. It is advisable to wax the paint afterwards. Care of chromed parts. Chrome parts should be treated with a chrome cleaner or polish. To give lasting protection in the winter, the chrome parts can be coated with Volkswagen's chrome cleaner and protection. Cleaning windows. Windows can normally be cleaned with a sponge and warm water and dried with a chamois. Do not use the chamois for the paintwork because traces of paint cleaner and polish will cause streaks on the windshield. These streaks can only be removed with a good windshield cleaner. Do not forget to clean the wiper blades. Windshield wiper blades. The blades should be taken off from time to time and cleaned with a hard brush and alcohol or a strong detergent solution. During long dry periods, they tend to get clogged with tar splashes, oil, and insects. New blades should be fitted as often as necessary. Door and window weather strips. The weather strips must be undamaged and supple to ensure they seal properly. To retain the original flexibility of the rubber, coat the weather strips in talcum powder or silicone spray occasionally. Airing the body. If the vehicle is left in a closed garage for long periods, the garage and car interior should be aired out from time to time to prevent the formation of mold and damp stains inside the vehicle. The driver's seat. If the driver's seat becomes hard to slide, the runner should be lubed lightly atop and bottom after being cleaned with a cloth. The seat can be removed. To do this, push forward out of the runners. Care of tarp. If you own a pickup or a double cab with tarp, please note the following point. When the tarp is wet, always leave it on the frame, firmly attached to the loops, until it is dry, to prevent the material from shrinking. Cleaning leatherette. The leatherette parts of the headlining, side trim panels, and seats can be cleaned best with a soft cloth or brush. When very dirty, Volkswagen's all-purpose cleaner. Use only a dry foam cleaner on the leatherette of the seats and backrests because the material used for these parts is air permeable and liquid cleaners would penetrate into the textile backing. Grease or paint spots should be wiped off, when possible, before they dry. Once dry, they can be removed by rubbing carefully with a cloth moistened with benzene or alcohol. Shoe polish marks can be removed with turpentine, but be careful because this will damage the dust repellent surface of the leatherette if applied too long. After cleaning, rub the material dry with a soft cloth. So-called preservatives are not suitable for leatherette because they do not soak into the material and merely collect dust that will soil your clothing. Tires. In addition to checking pressures regularly and driving carefully, the following points should be remembered in connection with tires. 1. Check tires for damage frequently and remove embedded material. 2. Keep oil and gasoline away from tires. 3. Try not to expose tires to sunshine for long periods. 4. Replace missing valve dust caps as soon as possible. The original equipment tires on your Volkswagen are provided with built-in tread wear indicators to assist you in determining when your tires have been worn to the point of needing replacement. These indicators are molded into the bottom of the tread grooves and will appear as approximately 1/2 inch wide bands when the tire tread depth becomes 1/16 of an inch. When the indicators appear in 2 or more adjacent grooves, tire replacement due to tread wear is recommended. We advise you, however, not to let tires wear down to this extent, as tires with treads in this condition cannot grip the road surface properly when driving at high speeds on wet roads. If you notice that the tires are wearing unevenly, get advice from your authorized VW dealer. Do-it-yourself tips. Just in case you have to carry out a repair yourself, we have included some information on the next few pages which should help you. All of the repairs should be performed by an authorized VW dealer. The Volkswagen Service Organization offers you a widespread network of authorized Volkswagen dealerships staffed with skilled mechanics and equipped with all of the special tools and appliances required. Whenever you see the familiar VW sign on the roadside, you can be sure of expert advice and quick, efficient assistance. Rotating tires. Equalize uneven tire wear by rotating the 5 tires as shown in the sketch. However, it is advisable to keep tires with the best treads on the front wheels. Tighten the wheel bolts diagonally to 95 foot-pounds and correct the tire pressures. Changing wheels. Apply the handbrake and block the opposite wheel. Take off the hubcap with remover and jack bar by hooking the remover into the holes on the edge of the cap and levering against the tire rim with the jack bar. Loosen all wheel bolts about 1 turn with the socket wrench and bar. Insert jack into square socket under body closest to the wheel being changed and turn hexagon at the top of jack until the base touches the ground. Lift the vehicle by turning hexagon with socket wrench and bar. Remove wheel bolts and take the wheel off. Note: the jack is a tool for changing a wheel only. If you work under the car, place a suitable support under car frame. Place spare wheel against drum and raise or lower vehicle until a hole in the wheel is roughly in line with a threaded hole. Insert the bolt and tighten it only so far that the wheel can be swung round to align with the other holes. Insert remaining bolts. Tighten bolts until the wheel, centered by the spherical shape of the bolt heads, contacts evenly round. Lower the vehicle. Insert bar into wrench and tighten the vehicle bolts diagonally to 95 foot-pounds. Have it checked at a service station with a torque wrench because correct tightness of the wheel bolts is important for safety. Install hubcap with a blow of the hand. Be sure to check pressure in the tire that you just put on. For correct tire pressure, see page 56. Adjusting or replacing V-belt. To adjust the belt, remove the rear part of the pulley on the generator. When loosening and tightening the nut, place a screwdriver in the slot in the front half of the pulley and support the screwdriver against the upper screw in the generator housing. To fit a new belt, The cover plate for the crankshaft pulley must also be removed by taking out the 3 screws. The belt tension is adjusted by varying the number of washers between the pulley halves. Taking washers out increases tension, putting them in decreases it. Extra washers are stored on the outside of the pulley half. The V-belt tension is correct when the belt can be pressed inward about 0.6 of an inch at the center. The belt must not be too tight or too slack. A new belt might stretch slightly at first. It should be checked after about 600 miles and the tension corrected if necessary. Although the life expectancy of the V-belt of your VW is very high, you should always carry a replacement belt in the car. Cleaning fuel pump filter. Install clip-on fuel hose between tank and engine compartment. Remove screw in cover on pump and take cover off. Take filter out and clean it with benzene. When installing filter, do not forget the gasket for the cover. Cleaning or replacing spark plugs. Pull connector off and screw plug out with a socket wrench and bar. The plug should be clean and dry inside and outside, in order to avoid shorting and tracking. Never use a wire brush for cleaning spark plugs. Instead, remove residues from electrodes and insulator with a wood chip. The gap can be set by bending the outside electrode. The gap should normally be 28 thousandths of an inch, but when the weather is very cold, the gap can temporarily be reduced to 2/100ths of an inch to facilitate starting. Take care not to cross-thread the plugs when inserting them, and tighten them firmly, but do not over-tighten. New plugs should be installed every 12,000 miles. Adjusting headlights. It is best to check the headlight alignment with a regulation screen or aiming device. If none is available, proceed as follows. Check tire pressures, correct if necessary, and park the vehicle on a level surface squarely facing a wall or screen 25 feet ahead of the headlights. The driver's seat must be loaded with one person or a weight of 154 pounds. Measure height A from ground to center of headlights and draw a horizontal line, H, on screen at this height, the full width of the vehicle. Opposite the center of each headlight, draw vertical lines, V, intersecting the horizontal. These lines should be 42.5 inches apart. Drawing a vertical line for the center of the vehicle might help align. These lines should be 42.5 inches apart. Drawing a vertical line for the center of the vehicle might help aligning the vehicle with screen. Loosen the screw in the trim ring of the headlight and take the ring off. Aim the headlights individually by turning the 2 aiming screws, with low beam switched on. Cover up the second headlight. The headlights are correctly aimed when the top edge of the high intensity zone on the horizontal line H and the left edge is 2 inches to the right of vertical line V. Check with your State Bureau of Motor Vehicles for variations from these specifications. Replacing bulbs. Headlights. A double filament Type 2 7-inch sealed beam unit of domestic manufacture is used in your Volkswagen. Should it become necessary to replace the unit, loosen screw in the trim ring and take off the trim ring. Remove 3 screws in sealed beam retaining ring and take the ring off. Take sealed beam unit out of support ring and pull off the cable connector. When installing a new sealed beam unit, ensure that the 3 glass lugs engage properly in the support ring. Check headlight settings. Front turn signal parking light bulb. Remove 2 Phillips screws. Take off lens. Press bulb into holder lightly, turn and take out. Insert new bulb. Ensure that gasket is located properly when installing. Do not over-tighten screws. Backup light bulb and rear turn signal, stop, tail light bulb. Remove 2 Phillips screws and take off lens. Press bulb in lightly, turn, and take out. Insert new bulb. When installing lens, ensure the gasket is located properly. Tighten lens securing screws evenly, but do not over-tighten. License plate light bulb. Remove 2 Phillips screws. Take off lens and bulb holder. Press bulb in lightly, turn, and take out. Insert new bulb. When installing lens, ensure that gasket is located properly. Tighten lens securing screws evenly, but do not over-tighten. Replacing fuses. The fuse box is located under the instrument panel on the left. When a fuse blows, it is not sufficient to merely replace it with a new fuse. The cause of the short circuit or overload must be established. On no account should fuses be patched up with tin foil or wire, as this can cause serious damage elsewhere in the electrical system. It is advisable to always carry a few spare 8-amp fuses in the vehicle. The 8-amp fuse for the backup lights is located in a separate fuse holder above the generator in the engine compartment. Fuse box. Fuse 1. Parking and side marker lights. Tail light right. License plate light. 2. Tail light left. 3. Low beam right. 4. Low beam left. 5. High beam right. 6. High beam left. High beam warning light. 7. 8. Windshield wipers. 9. Turn signals, warning light for brake operation. 10. Stoplights, horn, rear window defrogger. 11. Interior lights, emergency flasher system, anti-theft key warning system. 12. Open for subsequent installation of electrical accessories. Care of battery. The ability of the engine to start readily depends to a great extent on the condition of the battery. For this reason, the battery should be checked regularly and given a certain amount of attention. The battery is located in the engine compartment on the right-hand side. It should be taken out for checking and maintenance purposes. To do this, the oil bath air cleaner has to be removed first. For details, see page 52. To check the electrolyte level, remove the plugs. The level should be always in accordance with the mark. If the level is too low, distilled water must be added. The electrolyte level drops when the battery is charged due to dissociation of water used to dilute the acid and, to a lesser extent, to evaporation. How often a battery has to be topped up depends mainly on operating conditions and indirectly on the time of year. When a vehicle is often driven long distances in the daytime with hardly any current being used, the battery will have to be topped up with distilled water much more often than in the case of a vehicle which is operated under different conditions. As a general rule, the battery electrolyte level must be checked more often in the summer than in the winter. VW drivers in hot areas who do a lot of driving are advised to check the battery at least once a week. Do not add more water than necessary, because if the level is too high, the electrolyte will overflow when the battery is being charged and cause damage. The terminals and connections must be kept clean and greased with battery silicone spray or petroleum jelly. Ensure the ground connection to the body is free of corrosion and tight. If you store your vehicle for a prolonged period, it is advisable to take the battery to an authorized Volkswagen dealer. A battery which is not in constant use will discharge itself in time, and this will cause permanent damage to the plates if the battery is not checked about every 4 weeks and charged as necessary. Attention! When working on the battery, take care not to short circuit the terminals. This would cause the battery to heat up very quickly, which could lead to damage. Before having a quick charge performed on a battery installed in a vehicle, disconnect both terminals to avoid serious damage to the electronic components of the electrical equipment. Towing. Towing eyes are fitted underneath the front and rear bumper so it is easy to attach a tow rope. When towing, undue strain and sudden movement should be avoided. Exercise special caution on rough roads to prevent damage to your car. The driver of the towing vehicle must be particularly careful when starting off and shifting gears. The driver of the towed vehicle must take care to keep the tow rope taut. Fuel and lubricants. Fuel. Your Volkswagen will run satisfactorily on regular fuels which fulfill the octane requirements of the engine, 91 octane. If regular fuels with adequate anti-knock qualities are not available, premium fuel should be used or mixed with the regular fuel. Engine oil. Always use a name brand oil labeled for service MS for the engine of your Volkswagen. Quality of oil produced by reputable firms is so good that the choice of brand is entirely up to you. The Volkswagen engine makes no special demands with respect to oil quality which cannot be met by well-known and popular brands. It is suggested that you select your brand of oil at the first oil change at 600 miles and that you stick to this brand if at all possible. The classification of oil into various viscosity grades is shown by the designations SAE 30, SAE 20 Winter 20, and so on. The viscosity of a lubricant indicates its resistance to flow at a given temperature. The VW engine usually requires only 2 different viscosity grades which are used, according to the season of the year, as follows. SAE 30 in warm seasons and all year round in areas with hot climate. SAE 10 Winter 20 in the winter. SAE 10 Winter in areas where the average temperature is below 5 degrees. And SAE 5 Winter in areas where Arctic climate and temperatures below negative 13 degrees. All SAE grades cover a temperature range of about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and the ranges of 2 neighboring grades overlap by at least 30 degrees. Brief variations in temperature between seasons can therefore be disregarded. For the same reason, it is possible to mix oils of different viscosities when the oil has to be added between oil changes, and the viscosity of the oil in the engine no longer corresponds to the actual temperature. Transmission oil and ATF. Transmission and final drive are both lubricated with hypoid oil. SAE 90 in general all year round, SAE 80 in areas with cold climate, and ATF in areas with Arctic climate and temperatures below negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit. ATF is a special fluid for automatic transmissions, but ATF can also be used in manual transmissions under the above-mentioned climatic conditions. All ATFs which carry the Dexron test mark with a 5-digit number preceded by the letter B can be used. Suitable products are supplied by well-known mineral oil firms. Lubricant additives. No additives should be mixed with fuel or lubricating oil and fluids. Grease. Multi-purpose grease with a lithium base should be used for the front axle. Dry stick lubricant should be used for the hood locks and the sliding surfaces of the striker plates. Silicone spray or petroleum jelly should be used for battery terminals and posts. Regular oil changes are necessary even if the very best brand of oil is used because dirty oil in the engine means increased wear and reduces service life. The oil is drained when warm by removing the plug in the oil strainer cover plate. Flushing is not necessary, but the strainer must be removed and cleaned at every oil change. The gaskets and the copper washers under the cap must always be renewed. The engine is then filled with 5.3 pints US of oil labeled for service MS. Due to its detergent properties, the fresh oil will look very dark after the oil has been running for Due to its detergent properties, the fresh oil will look very dark after the oil has been running for only a short time. This need not worry you, and under normal operating conditions, there is no reason whatsoever to change the oil at shorter intervals than every 3,000 miles. We do recommend more frequent oil changes, every 1,500 miles, in the winter if you drive mainly short distances and in city traffic. If you drive only a few hundred miles a month under these conditions, it is advisable to have the oil changed every 6 to 8 weeks. In areas with Arctic climate where average temperatures are below negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit, the oil should be changed every 750 miles. The oil should be up to the edge of the filler hole, A. The transmission oil is only changed to 600 miles by your authorized VW dealer. Should it later on become necessary to change the oil because of a considerable and prolonged change in temperature, proceed as follows. At oil changes, the magnetic drain plug, B, should be removed and the old oil drained off while it is still warm. Plug must be cleaned thoroughly and 7.4 US pints of good quality hypoid oil put in. Sometimes the oil runs into the transmission housing very slowly. If one attempts to put the oil in too quickly, it may overflow and give the impression that the housing is already full, although only 2 to 3 pints have been put in. It is essential to the service life and silent running of the transmission that the correct amount of oil is used. The oil level in the transmission should be checked every 6,000 miles. At the same time, the transmission should be checked for leaks. Front axle. The front axle can only be lubricated properly when it is free of load. That is with the front end lifted. The 4 grease fittings on the axle tubes and the one for the swing lever shaft should be lubricated with a lithium-based multi-purpose grease. The fittings and the grease gun nozzle should be cleaned carefully before greasing. Place gun on fittings and inject grease until fresh grease comes out of the bearings. Grease and oil must not be left on tires and brake hoses for long periods. Even small traces should be wiped off immediately. If the vehicle is driven less than 6,000 miles in a year, we recommend lubricating the front axle once a year. Hinges and locks. Above the door hinge is a small oil chamber which is sealed with a plastic plug. At least every 3 months, the amount of oil in the chamber should be checked after lifting the plug with a screwdriver. The chamber should be filled with SAE 30 engine oil. Press plug in and wipe off excess oil with a cloth. At the same time, the hinge for the sliding door, the rear door hinges, and the hinges and the lock of the engine compartment should be oiled. The striker plates of the doors and the support spring of the engine compartment should be lubricated with stick lubricant. All lock cylinders should be treated with graphite. Dip the key into graphite, insert it into the lock, and turn several times. A dirty cleaner element not only reduces the engine output, it can also cause premature engine wear. If local conditions are such that the vehicle is often driven on very dusty roads, the cleaner must be checked frequently, even daily if necessary. The dust present in the air drawn into the engine is retained by the filter element in the upper part of the air cleaner and washed out by the oil in the lower part when the vehicle is in motion. In time, this forms a layer of sludge at the bottom of the lower part. When there is only 3/16 of an inch of oil above the sludge layer, the lower part must be cleaned and filled with fresh oil. To accomplish this, the air cleaner must be removed. Loosen clip A on intake elbow and take elbow off. Pull the crankcase ventilation hose. B. Loosen clip C on hose for preheated intake air and pull off hose. Remove retaining clamp D of cable for warm air control flat and disconnect cables. Loosen screw E on outer cable retainer and pull cable out. Release clips F, securing the cleaner to bracket and remove cleaner. Loosen the 3 upper clips G, take the upper part off and put it down with the filter element downward. Clean the bottom part carefully and put in 0.95 US pint of fresh engine oil. Oil viscosity SAE 30 all year, except in areas with Arctic climates where SAE 10 winter oil should be used. The top part does not normally need cleaning. If due to delayed cleaning of the bottom part or oil shortage, the filter element has become so dirty that the air inlet holes on the underside are partially blocked, the encrusted dirt should be scraped off with a wood chip. After assembling the cleaner, secure it to the bracket in the engine compartment with the 2 clips. Before connecting the cables for the warm air control flat, check that the flaps move freely. Then push the outer cable into the retainer as far as it will go. After tightening screw E, attach the end of the inner cable with the clamp D to the lever of the non-weighted flat. Tighten intake elbow clip carefully. In any authorized Volkswagen dealer service department, you get Volkswagen specialists who know Volkswagens intimately. A Volkswagen specialist works on VWs, period. Every so often he takes time off and gets a refresher course at one of our VW training centers. So he learns to fix Volkswagens before he starts working on your car, rather than while he's working on your car. We think it's better that way.